What's up, everyone? Let me hit a button real quick. See what's going on here. Everything's looking good. What's up, everyone? Garrett saying hi to Nightbot. Hey, if everything sounds good, that's great. It sounded real funky on my end. It could be the headphones. We'll try. Oh, that's way better. That's probably my headphones. You know, you can say hello to me, and Nightbot will say hello back to you in general. All right, so I'm assuming let's fix some stuff real quick here. Whatever. It's not gonna work. It's fine by me. Considering I'm assuming we have more than 0 viewers in here. I need to know how many viewers we have, though. All right, give me a sec. Oh, hey, Sagaria. What is up? Brad is Nightbot. Nightbot is Brad. This is factual. Okay, let me hit a couple buttons. I do this. Nope. All right, so we're going to do some see if I can click on this. Whatever, this will work. Just need to know how many people are viewing. We're gonna need that later. All right. So we're gonna do things a little different today. We're gonna do some Q&A. I've got a bunch of stuff we're gonna talk about already. So I've got a bunch of stuff here we're gonna chat about. So let me hop over. Let me hop over here real quick. And we're just gonna chit chat. So first thing, I posted on Twitter that I found some stuff I made in college, so I wanted to share that with you guys. So I've got some stuff in a box that this is going to give you an example of the kind of stuff I made in college. But I didn't know what I wanted to do in college other than design. So this is all like super generic design stuff. So let me pull this back out. So when you go to college for design, you don't just like learn Photoshop every day and do stuff. You do projects that help you understand different aspects of design. I'll put the blue lights back on for a sec. I'm going to show you some stuff, so I need the other lights. So what we have on the dock for today, I'm going to talk about some typography, show you guys the blur gallery, how to stay creative, expanding your accounts, matching some color tone, some smart object stuff, treating players, what I wish I knew early in my career, which I can talk about a little bit now, selecting hair, how I did lighting for my profile photo, some keyboard shortcuts, and then Gabby wanted semi-transparent objects, specifically sauerkraut. I doubt we'll get to that. So let's talk about that first. What I wish I knew in my career earlier. So my sports design career didn't really start till I was 28, probably even 29 to be honest. So what I've written down here. So I wish I knew I wanted to do sports. I wish I would have studied something like a minor in business or entrepreneurship as a minor. That way, once I've made this jump to freelance, I'd be easier to know and easier to navigate through that. Let me look at you guys when I talk. So I went to a community college first, and I'm going to talk about this on a Clubhouse in a little more detail at some point in time with Chris Charzard. But like, I didn't take any internships in sports. I looked at internships in sports. I would look at Teamwork Online and be like, oh, like I distinctly remember like the Minnesota Vikings were hiring a graphic design intern. Never applied, never even thought about it because I live in Dayton, Ohio. What is that going to mean? Am I going to have to go move there? I had a job here that was part time that I was doing. I had friends and a girlfriend here that I was dating. So it's like, oh, I don't want to abandon people here essentially. But with things like that, you need to be selfish. You need to do this for you. And who knows if it could have been remote? Probably not. Hey, Cami, how's it going? One thing more recently that I wish I knew earlier in my career is what you want from a job beyond what the work environment is. So like I even wrote a list of things I want in a job position. Now this is, most of this applies, I guess, for me because I'm freelancing, but like none of this applies because I'm freelancing actually. But like, here's some things that I want or need from a job. And this is something I want you guys to think about. Hey, Amber, how's it going? So here's the list. So I have on here culture/environment is important. That I'm put in a position to succeed. Now, what that means is, I'm put in a position where every day at work, I have what I need in order to do my job well. That means an up-to-date computer, something that's not going to slow me down or lag. And it's not like being greedy. Like I have a laptop that's like a year and a half old. I have a laptop. I was using that at an old job that was a 2012. So right now it's a 9-year-old laptop, but that was better than the computers I was using. So stuff like that. If I say, hey, we need new computers, someone's going to hear that and actually take value at that and look into it and actually make that happen. Support from the top down is what I have. So at most of my jobs, I've had great support from my immediate supervisor. I can say that confidently. My supervisor would go to bat for us, had my back. I knew them. But is anybody who's above that person in the company going to, hear my supervisor or whatever and have that same support? Sorry. So like, if I go to my supervisor and say, hey, we need new computers, these are shit, then they'll take that up to someone and they'll say, okay, sounds good, instead of just neglecting us. Structured like benefits are important. This is something I've learned from going from a company where I was working and I had very structured benefits. These are, hey, Alex, how's it going? These are how many vacation days you have. These are your holidays. These are your sick days and stuff like that. And then I went to a company that had none of that. So it makes me learn real quick what I want and need from a position. And then it's similar to support from the top down. I want my voice to be heard. If I have a suggestion for something, I want my input to be appreciated and heard instead of ignored. Creative freedom/opinion is valued as well. So make sure if you go somewhere that your opinion is valued, regardless of how long you've been designing. Oh yeah, the channels thing, Cam. Creative freedom and opinion valued. So like if I say we should do this creatively, they're going to take my thought in consideration instead of say do the same old. They're going to listen to sort of more radical thinking. Opportunity for growth is important. That was part of a reason why I left my first job out of college, was because I know there wasn't going to be any growth for me in the company. I liked working with my coworkers and I liked working with my supervisor. I had no issues with the people. I had a little more issue with the more company and the higher ups, support from the top down. Um, but like opportunity for growth. So like quick example. So I worked there for 6 years and 9 months. There was another guy that worked there that was there 2 weeks before me, and we had both been there for like 7 years. So I knew if there was any opportunity for growth, it would probably go to him because he's been there longer. Also, my supervisor had been there for like 9 years. She's not going anywhere. So the opportunity for me to grow with inside the company just didn't really exist. And then last on this list I have is transparency. So like transparency within a company, like why can't we afford to get new computers? Or like, I don't know how much, I don't know. I think more is like the chain of command. Like I make something, send it to you. Who's the final say in that? Just transparency in general. It's hard to describe. I don't have a good example of that right now. I wrote this list a while ago. But I'm freelancing, so that's not a problem anymore. Those are some things I wish I knew earlier in my career. Let me see if there's anything else on here. So a couple more things on here. Staying creative was someone wanted to go over, and expanding your account, your social media account. So what I would say to that, Brazil, I love you, King. I'm no king. I love to see people from Brazil in here. So when it comes to creativity, Sagiri, that's a good point. Like if it's a no, giving a real reason for why it's a no. Oh, yeah. Right. Like as designers, we get a lot of critiques and we get a lot of feedback on why things should change, and having a reason. Open communication is very important, especially in the design field. If you don't like something or you need something changed, tell me why so I can understand why you need it that way. So then if it comes up again, I know, oh, we need to do it this way. Okay, staying creative. So for me, creativity is like a muscle. If you work out, you're going to stay in fit. It's going to help you perform better. Like athletes, they put in work to practice and they get better. Creativity is something some people are born with. They're just creative in general. For me, creativity was something that I learned and developed through high school and through college. So like I went to community college. I could have stopped. I had an associate's degree in design, but I went further because I knew I needed more learning. I wasn't ready. I always had the technical side down and using Photoshop and stuff like that, but making things look nice with design, I still wasn't that creative. And really what it is just keep making stuff, and just keep working out your creative abilities. So, and you can do that. And one way you can do that, this will actually help expand your account. So if you want to expand your social media account, be a part of the community and post often. So don't just use Instagram as something where I post something with a caption and some hashtags, and then I just turn off the app and I never use it. This is how I grew and developed my account. And I haven't done this in a while, because I've been focusing on other things, but I did something called the $80 rule, which is, if you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, this is a rule he has where basically you go in and go on Instagram. So what I would do is I would go to Instagram, I would search sports design, I would search SM sports for social media sports, I would search graphic design, I would search, NBA design, and go in and look at the top posts, the top 9 posts, and comment on them and give them your 2 cents. So you do 2 cents, and you do that multiple times with multiple hashtags. And basically, after you do that, people are going to start seeing your name and noticing your name on posts. They're going to probably see and follow you. If you comment on someone's post and they don't know who you are, they're 100% going to see a comment more than a like. So if you comment on something, they're actually going to see it, and then they might follow you back, and that's how you can gain some followers. But just be a real person, interact with people. Use hashtags that are relevant to your design. So like I have a note in my phone that has hashtags on it, like, hashtag sports design, hashtag graphic design, hashtag NBA, hashtag basketball, stuff like that. I want to see something because when I started my 365 project, there were 15 or 16,000 posts under hashtag sports design. Now there's 146,000. So there's 130,000 more in 3 years. But that's one way you can do it. And post to multiple platforms. Alex makes a good point. I've given up making a design Instagram, much prefer Twitter. I have both, because what if Twitter goes away? If Twitter goes away tomorrow, where's your fan base, or where's your community? It's gone. So that's why I use both. And it's hit or miss on both. I get more interaction on Instagram most of the time. I have more followers on there. But I use Twitter more as a getting to know the community and chit-chatting more with people who work at professional sports or college teams as well. So use both. That's a delayed mute. All right, what was the last thing you guys heard? While I read through some of these comments. Oh. All right, so I use Twitter and Instagram both because one day Twitter might go away and then your fan base is gone. So then I have Instagram. I use Twitter mainly for a community base and I post designs on there. And then on Instagram, I use that more as a portfolio. But you want to have your eggs in more baskets, because if Instagram dies and goes away for some reason, then your community's gone. So that's a problem. So let me see what we got in here. So that's one thing. And then going back to being creative, make without expectation. Don't make for likes. Don't make for your followers. Make for you. So make stuff that's going to help you develop your skills. So like for me, I'll focus on one feature in Photoshop that I don't know, and I'll make some designs using that so then I can understand how to use it, and then I have it in my utility belt arsenal that I can use later on. Jordan, I'm using OBS. It's a software that I can set up these different scenes that I have so you guys can see my screen. I can hop back and forth, and then I just use a DSLR camera with the Canon utility to stream on here. Okay, let's hop off that. Let's see what's more things I can tell you real quick. All right, I want to go back to what I was talking about. So like, I want to show you some of this stuff in college, because this is a good example of stuff you would make in college, because you're not going to be able. This might change. I went to college. I graduated 9 years ago, so a lot has changed in the last 9 years, especially on social media, and people didn't go to college for web design. People didn't go for video. It's just like a graphic design degree. You learn a lot from imitating designers, but at what point do you have to start making your own style? So, I mean, I think your style will just come from things you like to do. So it's hard to, you can't, you can have your own style. There's a couple people who, they stick to one thing and they keep doing it over and over and over again, and it works well for them. Like Tyson Beck uses a lot of ripped papers, a lot of the same editing. It's basically you finding things you like and mixing it with other things, and then it just over time becomes your style. I'm going to talk about typography. How do you find the line between over designing and clarity when designing for a team and having communicate messages clearly? Oh. If you're talking about making things simplified, it's better to be simple than over designed. How can you communicate it and have it easily read or easily readable? I think is definitely important. You know, if you add more things, it's just cluttering things down. Just be different, like the man in Legend Garrett Little who is in the building. Yes, Noah. George, Cinema 4D, I don't know if they have a monthly. I know they just have the upfront cost of a couple grand that you can buy it from. You'd have to check. But anyway, let me show you some of this stuff. Like this was an app I designed in 2009, called World Groove, which was founded in 2011. Oh, it's a charity. And they put on raves and dance events in cities around the world to raise money for equipment for children who don't have electronic equipment. So that was a project I did as a senior. So I did that as a senior in college. Here's the paper. Here's work for it. Look at that. It's super, super bad. And everything we made had to be put on this blackboard. So I've got all of this blackboard. There's also a free version of Cinema 4D Lite in After Effects. So you can go to After Effects, you can go to File New, and you can do Cinema 4D Lite file. It'll pull that up. Here's my logo. This is my logo from college. So you can see how it mirrors what I have now, but it's not as cool. And I'll show you this last thing, and then I got a bunch of stuff in here we can chat about later, but I want to get to some of these other questions. But this was a project I did in community college of a logo. This is a company called Sudsmobile. Like, that's bad. This is what I was doing as like a second year student. This Sudsmobile, the whole point of this company was to help people get home safe from and prevent drinking and driving. So I invented Uber in 2009. Oh, this is actually cool. This will be the last thing I show you. This is a product box packaging design I made when I interned at Huffy. This is kind of cool. It's got some hollows on it, ages 12 and up. There was a blue, green, and red version. That's something I made while in college. Ben, we're not so much designing anything tonight. I'm doing more of a showcase of things in Photoshop. So you can see, like, from the stuff I showed you early on in something like this, which I had a lot of time to spend on an internship, your skills get generally better as you continue designing, moving on and on. All right. I actually want to show you a couple more things. I lied. So at my old job, I designed car dealership ads, which I might have in here somewhere. And I made like web designs for car dealerships. So like super, like this is the stuff I've made. So like I used to make stuff like this at my old job. And then every once in a while I would get to make something like this that had to do with sports. Basically Cole Hamels was visiting El Dorado Mazda. So this is what I made. And I made this in, it says it was created in 2016. I didn't make it in 2016. So I made this a while ago. And this other thing I made, oh, hold on. I've got that here. This was something I made. So Carriage Kia, for every new Kia purchased on these 2 days, the customer will receive Atlanta Falcons season tickets. So I made these like real extensive Julio Jones graphics that are like trash and terrible. I think I made these in 2016. So like you can get what I'm doing, but I had to set it up for all these different sizes. So that's the kind of stuff I made at my old job. Mason, I'll have to double check. I know what you're talking about, but I'm not 100% sure. Kaku Graphics, I go live every Saturday. So, or every Saturday. I go live every Tuesday at 7. So I'm just letting people know that they can see me live here. Oh, how, Alex, so how bad were the Falcons? They went to the Super Bowl that year. That's how bad they were. So that was the year they went to the Super Bowl. So you could have gotten Super Bowl season tickets for the Falcons, which is hilarious. Then my job at that point was I was a senior graphic designer at a company called Naked Line Marketing, and they ran car dealership social media pages essentially. Amber, freelancing's going pretty well. I like it. I like the freedom aspect of it. I just need to get a couple more clients on board, and then it should be even better. But okay, let's hop in here into Photoshop, and I can show you guys some stuff. You also had to buy IKEA, that's true. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about typography. So that's one thing, and I get this question a lot, and I know why I get this question a lot is because a lot of young designers want to know about typography. The issue being is typography is not crazy easy to just demonstrate in a video. You know, when I went to college, I took 2 typography classes where, you know, I would make stuff like this. You know, you would learn about different shapes of type and different things with type. So typography is difficult, but I'm going to show you certain things. I asked a couple people what their typography rules are. What was that? The current selected is background layer. You cannot move. Okay, well, that's fine. All right, so here's what I'm going to talk about with typography. So some golden rules when it comes to typography. I wrote some things down. So contrasting sizes, contrasting styles, kerning and leading, using all caps or all lowercase on purpose, things you should avoid, and then less is more, and then alignment in general. So a lot of times what you're going to be making or what you would like to make is like a hero graphic. So a lot of stuff I post is just like hero graphics. But like what I like to do, and let's use Tom Brady as an example. Like if we're going to make we're going to make a graphic with Tom Brady in it. Yes, Kemming, Jordan. Tom. Let me find a photo of Tom Brady real quick. How hard can that be, right? It's not that hard. Come on. This is some groovy music. Okay. Ah, hey, look at that. My computer's betraying me, and I know why. Wow. Drag, drop, click. Let me quit out a bridge. That'll help. Bridge is the worst. Drag, drop. Tom Brady. Hey, look at that. There we go. Mason, that seems that's probably more of a computer issue. It's not, the fonts are just in the wrong spot probably if you can't find them. All right, so I use the Adobe Creative Cloud. So they've got a bunch of fonts on there that you can use. You can make a cool design with Comic Sans. Yes, if it's for a child, it would make sense. You know, the issue with us is we work in sports, so a lot of our stuff has to be fast and cool. So like, the default Nike font is like Futura condensed black. So like this is the Nike font essentially. So we've got just do it. So when I back to what I want to talk about. So there, we got ourselves a nice Nike logo. If you want to find free fonts, I like Font Squirrel better. It has more legitimate fonts on it. So like what I see from a lot of young designers is they'll do something like this. Quarterback. So they'll just be like this and be like, this is my design or whatever. It's got Tom Brady, quarterback, maybe number 12. And they might have other stuff in here and stylized, but like for the most part, this isn't pulling the eye. But I see a lot of designers, young designers do this. They'll make something cool, something that looks nice, but then they put text on it and it looks terrible. It just ruins everything. And that's not your fault. Typography is difficult. You gotta really put in the time to learn typography. So what we can do is we can use contrasting sizes, contrasting styles, kerning and leading. Kerning and leading, I can tell you what that is right now real quick. So kerning and leading are the spaces between all the letters or the spacing between the lines. So the leading is the spacing between the lines. So we've got our font size here, and then here's the leading. So we can increase the leading, which is the spacing in between the lines. When they used to set type on old type machines, they would have to physically add pieces of lead, bars of lead to it to increase the size. So that would be the leading, the physical leading. They would add lead to it to make it more. One other thing we can do is we can change the kerning. So there's two different things. There's kerning, and the other one I can't think of, tracking. So tracking is in between single words. So this is the tracking here. Oh, that's the kerning. Is this the tracking? Am I getting it wrong? Sorry, the tracking is between all the letters. The kerning is between individual. Whatever. So with kerning, you can usually hit optical and it'll make it look pretty decently, but sometimes you have to tweak like Y's or K's. So like if this was bigger, maybe we'd have to tweak the tracking between these to scoot it in, because sometimes you can see there's like a big gap that a truck can drive through and it looks terrible. What I like to do with stuff is let's add some contrast. So I'm going to add some contrast in just, not really contrast, but compositional space. So I'm going to put quarterback here at the bottom, and I'm going to add a bunch of tracking, which is going to throw out all of the words, and I'm going to add size contrast to make it smaller. A lot of times I see younger designers, they just throw words on a page and they're all the same size and nothing pulls attention. There's no hierarchy. Make sure there's hierarchy with your typography. So usually what I would do here is I would have Tom V. Brady, Tom Brady quarterback. I want to put just do it in here. Maybe I make just do it huge. And if we want to add some contrast, we can use contrast and we can, make this a color. So now it has color contrast. I didn't want it there, but it doesn't look terrible. So I've got color contrast and size contrast with these words here. Yes, I said font squirrel. So Garrett, I don't know why you're saying Bradley Layfield is a graphic designer from Dayton, Ohio. So what you want to do is you want to have contrast and sizes. So you can see we have contrasting sizes here. Contrast is in style, which we haven't done yet. So what I might do is I might take this Futura here and change it to a different Futura font. Maybe it's maybe it's medium condensed in italic. So it's different. So now you see Tom Brady and then you see quarterback. Oh, you copy and paste the Wikipedia page. Okay, cool. Oh, you want me to do that? Hold on. Tom Brady. One thing you can do, this is what we like call doing the Chad Curtis, is Chad Curtis Design is my old boss. And what he liked to do is he'll put in text that is hilariously tiny. So like 3/5. And he'll put it in here and he'll make it super small. And let's just blow it up like that. Maybe 8. And he'll have it in here like this or something. But it's just there for texture. So yeah, it's either that or random X's. I've copied Wikipedia pages. It works. I did it in my Aaron Rodgers design. I copy and pasted the Wikipedia page, but it's there just this texture for something. So what we have here is we've got contrasting sizes. We've got Just Do It Big, then Tom Brady. The Tom Brady, and actually I'm going to make this Just Do It light gray. So here, what we have here is we've got Just Do It. If you look at this from afar, pulls you in. Then you see Tom Brady and then quarterback. There's a set hierarchy from what you see, and we're using contrasting sizes, styles, kerning and leading. And then we've got even more size and contrast here, and even more leading. We can even change the paragraph style to be different. But if you do that, it's a whole new can of worms that you're not going to want to do. But that's how you can easily increase your typography skills, is by doing that. Things you should avoid, or you can see something I did here. I do it instinctively now, is when I first was designing and making stuff, I never used all caps. I don't know why, but I would have like Tom Brady here, but I've been using all caps a lot more often. And that reason being is because in sports it's loud and stuff like that, so all caps makes sense. The max number of fonts you should use in design, maybe 3. Probably 2. You would probably want to use just 3 variations. So right now I'm using Futura Normal here, that's light. I'm using this Futura Extra Black Condensed, which is the same as this here. And then a third option I'm using is this condensed medium version. That's italicized as well. Because if you have more than that, it's bad. One thing I know some teams do is they do on purpose is they'll do lowercase on purpose, which you can see is contrasting actually pretty well with quarterback in all caps. It's contrasting, it's different. So having contrast other than just like color. A lot of times when we talk about contrast, we talk about lighting, we talk about color, but size and stuff like this for typography is great as well. And then last thing we want to talk about with typography is things to avoid. Stretching fonts. So like if I took this and stretched it like this, don't do that. If I took it and I stretched it this way because I wanted to make it fatter, don't do that. Find a different font or use one of the native things to make it look thicker. Never stretch text like that because it looks terrible. And anyone who's an experienced designer will see it immediately and they'll automatically think your design's not as good as it could be because you stretched the design. If you do want to manipulate the text and mess around with it, there are some things you can do. Mason, this is just a default size. It's just a 4x5 if I wanted to post this to Instagram, but I'm not going to do anything with this. If you did want to mess around with the words, so I'm going to use this font Abolition. So if I wanted to stretch this or manipulate this, what I would do is I would right click it and convert it to a shape. And then I can go down here and I can hit A and select just all the bottom coordinates and just drag them down. And then you can see it doesn't really work great because of these middle parts. So maybe I move these down a little bit. But like that doesn't look terrible, but that's not what the original font looks like. But you can take that and you can then stretch the top up a bit. And it'll take some finessing for it to look nice. Like we're gonna have to move these guys in the middle. But you can see I stretched it, but I didn't. I stretched it at a more natural pace. And this is too stretched. But that's one thing you can do. If you do want to manipulate it, you can just convert it to a font or convert it to type beforehand. And then the last thing I have on here is for alignment. If you have paragraphs of text, do not do this and center the text. Just don't do it. Just don't. That's a no-no. Just do left align or right aligned, depending on what you're doing. So let's take our Tom Brady text now. Then we got Tom Brady up here. We got quarterback down here. We've got his text here. You know, I might then align the text to this Tom Brady portion, this text here. So I can move it like this. I've got some nice text. Maybe I get rid of this italicized, and maybe I make it a little bit closer. And you can see just with a couple changes, we've got this nice little composition going on. Like this could be like a magazine spread, you know, typography wise. We got a headline, then we got a subheader, and then text below it. That's a general easy terms when you're designing for web, when you're designing for, you know, page layout. Those are some things you have. So that is typography. So I hope you guys like that. Let me see what I have on here. So one thing someone wanted to know is player treatment or treating players. So I have this photo of Tom Brady I have not edited. So this is what I like to do with players is using camera raw. So you go to filter, camera raw. It's already a smart object because I drug it in there. And then it'll pull up the camera raw filter. Why not center justified? Because my typography teachers told me not to do that. I still do it from time to time, depending on what it is. But usually for paragraphs or paragraphs of text, don't center justify things. It makes sense when, you know, maybe it makes sense when you're making like a menu and it's a small menu. You know, I would probably do it there, like a wedding menu. But most cases, centered is not good. So here we go. We've got Tom Brady here. And this doesn't even look like Tom Brady, but this is Tom Brady. So what I like to do is I like to increase the contrast. I saw a video of a photographer at BYU. I can't remember his name, but he also does this method. This is just some way someone showed me at one of my jobs. So I like to increase the contrast. Sorry. Let me show you what we're doing first. We're going to do what this person called stretching the image. So what we do is we get rid of the highlights and we boost the shadows. And what that's doing is it's getting rid of the contrast. We're taking away contrast. And then you can boost the whites a little bit and darken the blacks, which is going to add some more contrast in. And then we're going to add that contrast back in to pretty much the same value. I like to boost the clarity. I've been a little more touchy on the clarity recently. So I might do about half of that. You can really, the best thing you can do is find an image you want to edit, come into Camera Raw, and get to know what each of these sliders does. Get to know what everything down here does. And then once you have that in your mind, you'll be able to see someone design something and you might be able to be like, oh, let me see if I can imitate that with a photo that I have and add it in there. So really all I do is, you know, I'll set these numbers to be the same. So let's say 40, negative 40, 40. Let's do 10, negative 10, 0, and 20 for clarity. I've been adding a little bit of dehaze because I think it looks nice depending on the photo. This isn't the best photo to edit either. The better the photo you find or use, the better the image is going to be at the end. You know, the reason people post designs that are so nice is because they're very picky on what photos they use. So this was a photo I used for something. This isn't a photo I picked, so I would have find a different photo to use. You can go down to the curve and you can tweak things as well. So you can further tweak the highlights and the lowlights in here. You can do that with a regular curves layer if you know how to use a curves layer. I'll go down into detail here, mainly to noise reduce depending on the photo. A lot of times the photo can look bad, and if it's a small photo, I might bump the noise reduction up to where this end line is, because I feel like that's where everybody is. Yes, garbage in, garbage out. If you find a garbage photo, it's going to be garbage when you take it out. And I might boost the sharpening in here. It depends on the image. I usually do these basic items all the time, and then I'll go down here maybe. There's some other stuff in here, like I've never used calibration. I've used the effects to add a little bit of grain and vignette. I mainly do that on like final compositional aspects. When I'm done with the design, I'll add some grain and I'll vignette it as well. Geometry, I haven't messed with. I might go into optics and distort it a little bit depending on that, but that's more of a final aspect. When using Camera Raw, does the photo have to be a smart object to be edited? No, you can do it to a regular photo, but you're not going to be able to edit it. So you want to right click it and turn it into a smart object beforehand. Calibration's low-key your favorite for final adjustments. See, it's just something I haven't explored or used. So that might be something I look at now in my next design and see what it does and then use it in the future. But I'll just do these small edits. So now we've got off, on, and I hit that calibration button so it like completely distorted him. But he looks better. Let me get rid of that calibration. No, not calibration. Let me get rid of that, this button, optics. No. I distorted him there. So we have a before and after. So you can see here, it's adding some contrast. It's actually in turn also making his skin a little bit more orange and tweaking it from there. So like, that's how I treat players initially. Then I might go in with some other adjustments. You can see those in a lot of my design breakdowns. I break down a lot of those more, like the John Morant breakdown. If you want to learn more about touching up photos, watch that, because I go into way more detail to do it. So we're going to move on from there. Player treatment. I use Camera Raw. And again, the better the photo, the better the results you're going to have. So, for instance, let me see if this can find this real quick. Probably not. All right, never mind. Like some of my designs, like my Pau Gasol design I made for my 365, it's such a nice design because the photo I used was insanely good. So that's something I would do. And let me just show you this real quick. Uh-oh. Bear with me. Okay, sorry. I had my stream up here and it completely broke, so I was concerned it completely crashed. It did not. Okay, so let me just show you something. This is Google Advanced Image Search. This is how I find all my photos. So let's say we want to find a photo of David. No, what's his name? Utah Jazz. Donovan Mitchell. So what I might want to do is I'll look for photos of Donovan Mitchell over 6 megapixels. And what that's going to allow me to do is it's going to search on Google for only images bigger than 6 megapixels. So this is how I find images. So Donovan Mitchell, 6 megapixels. You hit go. These photos are all going to be giant and they're going to edit well. So like this photo of Donovan Mitchell here, I can right click and just download the image and it'll download this high-res photo. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click on it. I'm going to inspect the element on it. And then I'm going to go to sources, images, and I'm going to find that image, which is right here. Copy and paste it up here. And I'm going to get rid of anything that has anything to do with cropping it up here and hit enter. Ah, it broke. So here's the small image, but I want the big image. So here you go. So here's this giant photo that we can save and download. So now if I go here and I quickly drag this photo into Adobe Photoshop 2020, because I have both on here because one breaks. Hold on. It's like this photo is huge now. So I'm zoomed in a ton and it's still not showing us those pixel grids. Like right there they are, pixel, 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 right here. I'm zoomed in almost 800% and you still can't see them. Garrett, that's how you're supposed to find images. So now if I use one of my actions on it, which his skin looks way too yellow for that. So let's go in and like it says, mask out his skin using a normal size brush. There we go. Mask, 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 mask. And this is using the same settings that I just shared with you guys. And then a couple more things that I've gone over in my design breakdowns. Oh, Dan's here. Good. So Dan, this is how Dan and I assume, get images using the advanced Google search. So this is what the before looked like, and this is what the after looked like. And the only reason it looks this good is because the initial image is huge. This image is... I don't know how to hit a button. This image is 5,000 pixels by 3,500 pixels, and it's 300 DPI. Crazy quality image. So then I might go in here and just add a little bit of a curves layer. The actions are actually available on my website to purchase. So this is before and after, and this is one-click editing essentially. I just did it in this 15 seconds here. One thing you can do when you're finding images online is you might find one that is a specific size, but it will have something at the end. So like this is the photo that we just downloaded from the inspect element. But what I did was I took all this stuff that said auto width and height, and I deleted that. So now it's going to a different location. And then if you hit enter, it pulls up the big version. So sometimes websites will upload the full-size image, but they'll have something up here in the URL that's modifying it and only showing you part of it or a certain size. So you can look at it, delete that, and then get the high-res image. So I always look at the URLs up at the top. Okay. Wasn't planning on showing you that super awesome thing, but there you go. That's how you can find images. Someone asked about text smart objects. So in my sports card design, who's a what's it, that I have on my website that I'm going to raffle one off in 5 minutes. I use a smart object with text on it. So like all you have to do is you've got text here. I'm going to right click it, convert it to a smart object. And then I'm just going to duplicate it a couple times. I didn't mean to do that. But I can then go in here, double click quarterback, and I can change this to running back. Running back. I can save that, and then when I go back, they have all changed to running back because I'm changing this one smart object. And that works for anything that's a smart object. If you want to make one of these slightly different, you can right click it and hit new smart object via copy. And then this one won't change all the other ones. So I can hit quarterback, go back to it. So this one, oh, I didn't move it around. But this one is quarterback and the other ones are running back. So I know someone wanted to learn how to do that. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. There's 51 people watching this stream right now. So I'm going to go to my website. And I'm going to give you guys a coupon you can use if you want to download these sports card mock-up packs. There's 53 people watching. So I'm going to give you guys a discount of 50%. I was going to do how many people were in here up to 50%, and there's 50 of you guys here, so that's amazing. So if you go to my website during this stream in the next 33 minutes and use the code, a very specific code, you guys can get my pack for 50% off, and it's only valid until 8:30, and it's only for you guys. Also, if you want to have the opportunity to win one for free, type a 1 in the channel right now. You have 2 minutes to do that. And I'm going to raffle off one of these for free for one of you guys. But otherwise, you'll have the opportunity to get it at 50% off, which is an awesome deal. Anyone feel like graphic design has made them mildly bipolar? Hey, greetings from the UK again as well. So I'm going to close this. And if you've already purchased it from me, I'll just refund your money that you have given, that you've purchased it for, if you happen to already purchase it. So you can still get it for free. I kind of told people I was going to give one of these away, but didn't. But I wanted to make sure that people who actually came to watch and learn can do that. So I'm going to close it down in a second because a lot of you have already said 1. Please only say it once. It's going to make things harder. I'll give you guys the code in a minute. All right, so it's closed. So I'll do this live for you guys right now, and then I'll tell you guys the code, but you guys can probably guess what it is.
Quick select.
So what we're going to do, we're going to go to random.org, we're going to roll some dice, and we're going to randomize a list. Don't like that. Oops. All right, I think we got a couple. This duplicated on accident. Schultz is a jokester. Get rid of that. Mason. Get rid of that. I think everybody's in here. All right. We'll go from here. So what we're going to do, don't mind all that other stuff. So I'm going to randomize it, and we're going to roll the dice. We got a 5. So whoever's up at the top is going to win. So we're going to randomize this once. And don't, it's just going to be the first name on there. 2, 3, 4, 5. So Zagifi, if you would like to send me your email address, I will give you access to that, and then you get it for free. Other than that, if you use the code QuickSelect with no space, all lowercase, you can get 50% off. Just add it at the cart. And then I'll get you guys access to that after we're done here. Oh, you said, Zagifi, you said it twice in here. That's fine. It wouldn't have popped up anyway. Okay. So, what do we want to talk about now? So someone asked me about lighting in my profile photo, which I can quickly show you guys. And let me know if you guys have any trouble with that code. It's only available till 8:30, so this is what I'll show you. So for my profile photo, someone asked how I got the lighting. I took a bunch of dumb photos of me with these lights, with these hue lights that turn different colors, and basically edited the photo from there. And it looks like the code's working, so that's good. And then I have this headshot photo where I basically took those photos and I used a bunch of hue and saturation and selective colors to boost the colors of it and make it super cyan to match my branding. So I used actual lights to get it on my face. I would have to go over a completely different tutorial on how to do lighting like that. It's something I'm not like crazy insanely great at. Someone like Jonathan Ogstow is very good at it. He might be able to. He uses a tablet, which definitely helps. But okay, let's talk about some stuff. Let's select some more stuff. I actually want to find one thing because it's actually going to help me illustrate something someone wanted to learn. So selecting hair is what someone wanted to know. They wanted to know the best way to select hair. And thank you guys for all watching. I do appreciate it. And I hope you guys are learning a lot from this. Wow, the chat is like crazy lagging for me. That's weird. Yeah, just DM me on Instagram. Hair. Okay, so here's this Pau Gasol design. So here's this photo of Pau Gasol. Like, look at this. Like, this is a crispy looking photo. This isn't even the original either. This is the original, and this is after editing. Like, wow, look at that. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna delete that. We're gonna just convert this all to a smart object. Okay, so this is how I like to cut out hair. And every photo is gonna be different. This is going to be how I would do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to just hit select subject and see what this does. And then we're going to hit, or we're going to use quick select and we're going to hop in here and do our selections. Selected most of everything that we wanted though. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to selected mask. And you can see up here, the code only works on that sports package. It does not work on anything else. I wanted to make it especially just for that. So what I would do in here, now they have a new thing up here called refine hair. I'm going to click on that. And we're going to see how terrible it is. So if we click refine hair, it basically gets rid of all of the darkness on the inside because that's what the photo is. Let me look at something real quick, because I might want to use a different photo. Yeah, I'm going to use a different photo that's going to be easier to share with you. You should be able to purchase from the UK. That shouldn't be a problem. I think we've got people from Brazil. So let's say you have a design. I'm going to do this real rough, but I think it's going to turn out actually pretty well. And you're doing something with white jerseys. But the jerseys are slightly different tones because they're different light sources. So this is common in a lot of white jerseys. You know, maybe they're outside and they took photos, and then they're in a dome and the lighting is different. No. Hold on, let me... I don't even know where... I don't even... Oh, God. That's the worst thing I've ever seen. There, it's even darker now. Thank you. I didn't realize I could make it darker. That's so much better. Okay. So you might have different whites. So I've got pure white in the middle here, and I've got a slightly warm white and a slightly blue light here. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. If you're on a player, just again, pretend this is the jersey, on the jersey, because it's going to be able to use the exact same method. You can make a layer and set it to either color or hue. I get it wrong every single time. You can select the color you want to use, and then you can paint over the color. So you can see what this is doing is it's getting rid of the blue and it's making it gray. It's basically desaturating it. If I set it to hue, well, this is pure white, so it's not gonna matter. But you can see you can set it here, and then if I go up here to the top, you can see they're all the same color now, and then you'd have to change the lighting around to make it match. That's one thing you can do. Another way you can do it is you can use a selective color layer, and you can do whites or neutrals. I'm going to do whites. I'm going to attach it to this only bottom layer. And basically what we want to do is we want to remove cyan from it. So you can see I'm removing cyan, and what that's doing is it's making it more close to this color. You know, I can add black, I can take away black. So if I take away black and I take away cyan, it's matching this color better. Then if I use a different selective color for whites, and up here, I can, since this is warm, I can do two things. I can add cyan to it, but I don't want whites, I want neutrals because this is a neutral color. I can add cyan, but I can also take away yellow and take away magenta, which as you can see is doing absolutely nothing and not helping my case for how you should do this. So let me go through the white here, take away magenta and take away yellow. So if you just take away some of the color, it's going to match up a lot better. Dan, anything with the hands would be terrible to break. Keyboard thumb wouldn't be terrible because you'd have a cast on. You could still use it like this. If you broke your thumb, you would have it in a cast, but you would still be able to use your thumb. So it'd have to be one of the other fingers. One of these would be worse. But you can see using selective color or just using a layer that you paint using a specific color on top and having the layer masks or the layer mode set to hue or color. That's how I would change and swap color modes or match colors. And you can do the same thing with any color. Let me do that in lightning speed and I'll show you. So let's say this is green. I want it to be green. And we have this green, and then we have this green. So this green is that. And then this green, no, we want the bottom green. We want this green to be that. There we go. Okay. I broke my navicular bone, which is, it was this bone. So here I have a bunch of different greens. So what I can do if I want to match this front green is I can select that as a color. You know, let's try the same thing. So we're going to set this to color, and we're going to brush it over it. You can see it's changing the color. If we set hue, it does the same thing. So that's good. But you can see it's making the color the same color as this. Now it's a different lightness because it's different. But then if we do that here to the bottom, it's blending in a lot better. This is set to normal. That's why it's blending in a lot better. But if I set it to hue, you can see we can paint over it. So these are all the same color now. This one's just brighter up at the top. Yeah, it was because my shoe was untied. That's how I broke my bone. Or we can go into selective color. We can choose the greens. And for this top one, I want to take away the yellow, maybe add some cyan, maybe add a little bit of magenta. We don't want to change the magenta. Okay. Maybe add a little bit of black, take away yellow. But you can tinker with this, and you can find it so it's that exact color then, essentially. And then you can do the same thing here at the bottom. This one I know is a little too green or a little too blue, so I can add some yellow to that, and it's going to make it so it's going to be almost indistinguishable if you use selective color. So that's how I would blend in colors or match color tones. So I'm going to run down this list of hotkeys, and then we're going to be done. All right. So I got a list here. So some basics. Do not answer Dan. I will mute and ban you if you type 1. Okay, so basics. So if you hit F, it will go into full screen mode. So F is full screen mode. I like to work in full screen mode, and then you can hold down the space bar and drag around. That's just something I like to do. Some easy stuff over here. If you hit B, it selects brush. So that's fun. If you right click it, then it'll go to brushes here. I've got a whole little video on my YouTube, or not on YouTube, on my Instagram that'll show you how to do a bunch of stuff with brushes. So I'm not going to worry about that. One important thing though, if you have the brush tool selected and you hold down the option key, it'll pull up the eyedropper. So if you are painting something, you can select whatever color you want easily and paint around, you know, whatever you were doing. Select a different color, paint, select a different color. You know, it comes in handy in certain instances. This is a terrible instance to do that. Some simple things. If you want to make a new layer, you can hit Command-Shift-N. It'll make a new layer. If you hold down Option in between two layers, it'll mask it. Or not mask it. It will, yeah, mask it. It'll create a layer mask with that layer. If you want to zoom in, it's easier if you just hold down the Option key and scroll in and out. That's how I like to do that. You can, of course, hit Command-Z to undo, Command-Shift-Z to go forward, to undo the undo. One that you might not know that is very handy, I'm going to paint a bunch on this layer, is using blending modes. So I use a lot of, so these are the blending modes here. And you can hover over these and it'll show you what it looks like. But what you can do instead is you can hold down the Shift key and hit plus or minus, and it will cycle through all of the blending modes. But if you know what blending mode you want, like multiply, you can hold down Option Shift and then hit a couple different keys. If you hit S, it'll set it to screen. If you hit M, it'll multiply. O for overlay, F for soft light, D for color dodge, And you can hold those down, and if you just click on the keyboard, just right through the alphabet, you can see which ones it'll pop to. So U is hue, and C is color. So that comes in handy when you're working, because then you don't have to think about, oh, I want to set this lens flare to screen. Let me click on it, click over here, click screen. You can just hit Shift Option S, and it sets it to screen automatically. If you hit W, it selects our favorite thing in the world.
Quick select.
If you hit Command A, it'll select everything. If you hit Command D, it will deselect everything. When I'm in the selected mask, if you hold down the Option key, it will invert whatever you're doing. So if you're adding to the selection, hold on, is this? Nothing is selected. What are you doing? What are you doing right now? Why are you not showing up? So it'll add, oh, here, this is way easier to show you. So if you want to add to the selection, if you hold down the Option key, it'll subtract from the selection. And that'll work in a lot of different utilities or tools. Is if you add with one, you can hold down the Option key and erase or go back with the other one as well. Command T, of course, is transform. So then you can transform things and make things bigger or smaller. And by default now, you don't have to hold down Shift. You used to have to hold down Shift for 30 years, and then they changed it on us for some reason. And then you had to change muscle memory for everybody. One thing that's important that you can see on the left-hand side here, if you hit D, it sets your colors back to default black and white. And then if you hit X, it cycles between them. So if we have, red as our foreground color and we hit X, it swaps to the background color. So you can swap those with X, and you can hit D, it'll set them back to default. You can create custom hotkeys. So some people might make a custom hotkey that's, I don't have that one set up. But like, is that really, did I just really save as? Is that what that is? You can set one to like make a smart object automatically. Instead of hitting right click and converting to smart object, you can go into settings and you can change those. One that I use often is Command J. So Command J will duplicate. I actually have that keyboard set to a button on my mouse. If you hit Command J, it'll duplicate whatever layer you're on. You can, of course, copy and paste and move things around. That's a pretty common one. If you hold down Option and drag, though, it'll also make a duplication of whatever that is too. So if we want to duplicate this, we can hold down Option and we can hold down Option and drag. We can hold down Option and drag and let go, and it'll make a duplicate of that. And then we can use our hotkey of Shift Option M, and it'll make it multiply. Then, of course, we have Command S is save, and Command Option S is
save as.
I like to save things for web when I save them. So what that is it's Command Shift Option S, and then it will pull up this dialog box to save as, save for web. And then I just save usually at 100% quality, or I select ping. Ping files are a little bit bigger, and I set that to original. And I set that, and then I just hit, and then I hit save, not done. Get our blue lights back. I'll hit save and then save it to whatever folder I want it there and whatnot. But those are some hotkeys that come in handy for me. Hopefully they come in handy for you. You can go on to Google and go to Adobe's website, and you can get all the hotkeys that are available. You can make your own. I'm getting accosted right now for saying it's a PNG file when it's a ping file. Why would you say PNG when you can say ping? Let me know in the chat. Do you say ping or do you say PNG? It's like GIF and GIF. One of them is correct, and it's not PNG. It's ping, because it's a ping file. Anyway, well, you guys let me know that. This has been fun. We're going to do more of these Q&As. There's a couple things I didn't get to. Mainly blur gallery, using some of the blur gallery options, so I might do that later. I might make just a separate video on it completely. Dan, I thought you were timed out. How are you? Hold on. I got to put him in timeout again. All right, he's in timeout again. You guys all say PNG? Oh. Is it a JPEG file? No. It's a JPEG. Is it a GIF file? No. It's a GIF. It's a ping file. Okay. All right, well, with that, I'm happy to see that you guys were quick to select and spend your time with me tonight. I hope you guys learned a lot from this. Always open to hear what kind of tutorials you guys want to see or breakdowns you guys might want to see. So if you guys ever have suggestions for that, feel free to drop it in the chat, drop it as a comment, or just send me a DM or let me know on Twitter. Thank you all for joining me, especially those who are joining in from across the seas. If you guys bought the sports pack, I will go ahead and activate those right now. Until then, thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you guys next time.